Oh, very good morning to all. Welcome back to English class. In the previous session, we had gone through the poem Rain in Summer, and I informed you that today we'll be having a recapitulation of the same and going through the summary, and most importantly, we'll be focusing on one important grammar topic today, which is a surprise. So let's get started. So this is a poem which we saw, Rain in Summer. So I'm sure that you all understood it in the last class itself because it's very easy. And today I will teach you a different method of how to remember the summary. I have given the summary as well as the notes below. The CW notes, the photos have been sent already. So I will teach you how to remember the summary in a better way than just by hearting. Through visual aids, we'll learn to remember the topics or the points in the summary so that you do not miss out on any point. Okay? So how to remember the summary of a poem using pictures. Okay? So here it is. So this is these are a few pictures used in the poem. Okay, so here this is the poet, then here you can see people enjoying rain, and this is a narrow lane, this is a broad street, this is the dust and fiery roads. Here you can see the rain again, and this is rainwater falling on the roof, that is with a clattering sound. Okay, so I'll read out the summary for you all. You can remember by relating to these pictures here. Okay, so I'll read out the poem. So initially you'll start off by telling who's the poet of the poem. The poem Rain in Summer is written by an American poet, Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. So first this is a picture. First you'll tell one sentence about the poet. Then the poet beautifully describes rain and highlights the joy we experience when it rains in summer. Okay, so you can see people enjoying rain. So the same sentence, okay? The poet beautifully describes rain and highlights the joy we experience. You can see people enjoying the rain. The joy we experience when it rains in summer. That is the second point. Third point, okay? He begins by describing the narrow and the broad street. This is the narrow street, right? He begins by describing the narrow and the broad street. He says that the roads are filled with dust and heat of the scorching sun. So that's why I put the picture of dust and the heat of scorching sun. And then comes the rain. Okay, can you see the rain here? And then comes the beautiful rain cleansing and cooling the earth. Okay, so you can, when you're looking at the picture, it's like a cooling effect, right? So you can write the sentence. Then comes the beautiful rain cleansing and cooling the earth. And here you can see clattering on the roofs, right? As they clatter on the roofs like a tramp of hoofs. That's all. So these pictures will help you remember the points in these. We have already completed with two paragraphs. I'll read out once again. The poem Rain in Summer is written by an American poet, Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. The poet beautifully describes rain and highlights the joy we experience when it rains in summer. He begins by describing the narrow and the broad street. He says that the roads are filled with dust and heat of the scorching sun. And then comes the beautiful rain cleansing and cooling the earth as they clatter on the roofs like a tramp of hoofs. So isn't it a very easy way to remember, children? So next time, whenever you're writing the summary, make sure you look at this picture so that you'll be able to relate and remember easily than just by hearting it. Next answer. Okay, the last paragraph now we have come to. So here you can see this is a spout, overflowing spout. Okay, so he then shows us an imagery of how rain overflows out of a spout, signifying the intensity of rain. Okay, next you can see this window pane, right? So how do you write? In the last answer, the poet invites us to reminisce the times we sat near the window pane and enjoyed the rain. Okay, so when you look at this picture, you should remember you're sitting next to the window pane and enjoyed the rain. He also mentioned that the water flows into the gutter like the roaring river with a muddy tide. Okay, so you can see the muddy tide. So this picture, when you look at this picture, you should remember the sentence. He also mentioned that rainwater flows into the gutter like a roaring river with a muddy tide. That's all. And then you can see this is a picture of welcoming rain, right? And ends the poem by welcoming the rain as it cools the atmosphere and cleanses the surrounding. You can see the clean surrounding. So you can see, and ends the poem by welcoming the rain as it cools the atmosphere and cleanses the surrounding. So by looking at just these pictures, okay, so this picture should be registered in your mind one after one, and you can write the summary. So by looking at the pictures, read the summary 2 to 3 times. So you will be able to relate the sentences and remember the sentences better. So children, are you ready? Okay, so you go and read the summary after watching this video. We are done with the summary. After that, in the CW, I've given a few notes related to the phrase. Okay, so I'll teach you what is a phrase. Next, what is a phrase? I am sure that you know what phrase is, so I'm not going in depth about what is a phrase. So phrase is incomplete sentence. It has few words, and a phrase does not have a subject or a verb in it. So what's the actual definition? A phrase is a group of two or more related words which does not contain subject and a finite verb. It does not give a complete thought. It is a part of a sentence. This is the meaning of phrase. Because you have already learned, I'm not stressing much now. Okay, I'll give a few examples of phrase. I have some urgent work at school. So what is a phrase? Two or more related words which does not contain a subject or a verb. So in the sentence, at school does not have a subject or a verb, and it is incomplete. Okay, so and it is just a part of a sentence. So this is a phrase here. At school, which is underlined here, is the phrase. He met me in the morning. So in the morning, okay, there's no subject or a verb, and it is incomplete. So this is a phrase in the below sentence. Now most of you all have confusion how to remember. There's a clause and phrase. How to remember this? Clause means it is complete. Okay, see, I have some urgent work. It will have a subject as well as a verb in it. I have some urgent work. So that gives you a complete meaning. Okay, so that is a clause. How to remember that? What is the first letter of clause? C. So you can remember what is the first letter of complete? C. So that way you can remember clause is a complete sentence which gives you meaning. And phrase is incomplete. At school is incomplete. So if you remember one point here, you will understand the phrase is incomplete. In the clause and phrase, clause is a complete sentence. Phrase is an incomplete sentence. Similarly, he met in the morning. This underline in the morning is a phrase. Phrase is incomplete. So till here you understood. Now in the CW you have they have asked for explaining the meaning of the phrase. So here the phrase given is Fury Street. So this is a pic of the CW notes which you'll be getting it now. The poet has used the phrase Fury Street to emphasize on the intensity of heat in summer. So what is a fury means? Fire, right? Burning, something burning. That is called fury, very hot. So intensity of heat in summer. In summer, the heat from the sun is very high and the street seems to be on fire. So you understood the meaning of this, right? So Fury Street does not give any, see, it's a phrase because it does not have a subject or a verb in it. Next thing, gush and struggle out. The explanation of it is, as it was raining heavily, the water from the rooftop was overflowing through the spout. The rainwater gushed out of the pipe by throwing the dust and garbage from the rooftop. Okay, understood the meaning of these two phrases, right? So these are asked in the CW, is mentioned in this poem, and it's also I've given the notes in the CW. Clear? So we are done with it now. Now let's move on to the most important part in this video, that is grammar. Okay, so you're ready, children, to learn grammar? Make sure you take out a book, a rough book, and a pen with you so that you can make note of these points. You can take running notes, the lecture notes, as I'm teaching you all. Okay, so let me show you a very funny picture. I almost died laughing. Right? So you would have used this sentence sometime in your life when your friends crack a joke. When it's very funny, you would have told, I almost died laughing, right? It's a sentence which you can use. It's a very good way of speaking English, okay? So in the literal meaning, if you take it like as the words are, I almost died laughing, do you really think people literally die laughing? No, right? But it's just the way of telling that it was very funny. When the joke is very funny, you say, I almost died laughing listening to that joke. Okay, so it's just the way of presenting it. Okay, it's not the literal meaning. Next example. it's raining cats and dogs. Cats and dogs is a phrase here. And if it is raining very heavily, okay, we say it's raining. You can use the sentence, it's raining cats and dogs. It does it literally mean, you can see the picture, a literal meaning if you take it, it's like the dogs and cats are falling up from the sky. Is that the literal meaning? Okay, but what is the actual meaning, like the figurative meaning? That means the way, what is the person trying to say when he says it's raining cats and dogs? That means it's raining very heavily. It is not meaning that cats and dogs are falling from the sky, but it means that it is raining very heavily. Okay, it's raining cats and dogs. So we are using the figurative meaning. So certain sentences, we do not use the actual meaning of it, the literal meaning of it, but we use the figurative meaning of it. Okay, one more example. All of you all know Shobana, right? She's a very good Bharatanatyam dancer. So we can say a sentence, she dances like a peacock. Okay, if you go into the literal meaning of it, does it mean that she's literally dancing like a peacock, like the shaking? No, peacock is a very beautiful bird. It dances very elegantly. So instead of saying Shobana dances elegantly, you can use a word saying Shobana, the sentence saying Shobana dances like a peacock, which means indirectly it means that the figurative meaning is she is very elegant in dancing. She's very graceful in dancing. So what is all these? So the sentences which is not taken literally, but the figurative meaning of it is called figures of speech. That is different figures you use to make your speech a bit more good, bit more better. Okay, so this is figures of speech. So the definition of it is, a figure of speech is a word or phrase using figurative language. Like we told, raining cats and dogs, the figurative meaning is raining heavily. Okay, figurative language. Language that has other meaning than its normal definition. In a figure of speech, the literal meaning or word by word meaning is replaced with different meanings. For example, she's dancing like a peacock. Okay, the literal, not the literal meaning, but you're changing the meaning of it by saying she's dancing gracefully. So did you understand? This is figures of speech. Okay. Now, let's move on to the commonly used figures of speech. There are a lot of figures of speech. In that, most commonly used figures of speech are, first one is simile. Okay, it's not smiley. Most of you all tell it as smiley. It is not smiley. It is simile. Okay, remember the word simile. Next one is metaphor. Next one is metaphor. The other one is personification. The last one is irony. These are a few figures of speech. Okay, there are commonly used. There are many, but I've just mentioned 4 commonly used figures of speech. And in today's class, let's see out of these 4 which figure of speech you're gonna learn. Okay, with examples. So as we know, she dances like a peacock. The first example, she dances like a peacock, which means you're comparing her dance to the graceful peacock. Next, my dog is as smelly as dirty socks. When you all come to school, okay, and after that when you go back, how does your sock smell? It stings, right? It's very bad. So here, instead of saying my dog is smells or stings very badly, instead of saying that, you can use a sentence, my dog is as smelly as dirty socks. What is the meaning? It smells very bad. Okay, it's not directly saying that it smells like the dirty sock, but you're just comparing it. Okay, instead of saying that my dog stinks, so you're comparing the smell of the dog to dirty socks. So it's comparison. Okay, now there are a few sentences. After the meal, I am feeling as fat as a pig. Okay, after the meal, I am feeling as fat as a pig. Do you look like a pig? No, but you're comparing it after your heavy meal. When you eat a lot of biryani and all that, what happens? You'll feel too tired and you'll feel like a pig. Okay, means as fat as a pig. Without glasses, next sentence. Without glasses, I am as blind as a bat. So why are we comparing it to a bat? Bats cannot see. They do not have vision in the morning. So without glasses, it's like you're blind. Instead of saying you're blind as a bat, which means you can hardly see anything. Next sentence. That color is as beautiful as Rainbow. So rainbow is very beautiful, right? You all like rainbow. After the rain, when you look at the rainbow, it's very nice. It's very pretty. So when you're saying the color is so good, you can say that color is as beautiful as a rainbow, which means it's very good. So instead of saying that color is really good, you can say as beautiful as a rainbow. Next one. He is as brave as a lion. You know, lion is the king of the jungle, so he must be brave. So when you see a person who's very brave, you can use the sentence, he is as brave as a lion, which means you're comparing this person to the bravery of the lion. Okay, next one. That baby is like her mother. So again, it's comparison. Baby, you're comparing to her mother. Okay, like her mother. My sister works like a tortoise. You know how tortoise walks very slow, right? So you can say my sister works like a tortoise. Okay, which means very slow. She's, instead of saying she's very slow in working, you can use the sentence my sister works like a tortoise. So there are few, I've underlined certain sentences of phrase. Okay, that is as fat as blind as beautiful as brave as, that like her mother, like a tortoise. Okay, so the words like as, blind as, or as dash as. Okay, so when do we use these? It's called a simile. So a comparison of two things by using the words like or as is called a simile. So today's class we are learning about simile. What is it? Simile, not smiley, it is simile. Okay, so one more sentence. She is as tall as a giraffe. Few of you all say giraffe. It is not giraffe, it is giraffe. Which means you're comparing that, comparing the girl to the height of the giraffe. So as tall as a giraffe, which means she's very tall. Instead of saying that girl is very tall, you can say she's as tall as a giraffe. Okay. Now, I'll tell you the definition again. A simile is a comparing word. As we saw in many examples, you're comparing one person to the other thing. We compare one thing to another. For example, for simile, we use words like and as dash as. So these are the words we use for simile. So it's easy to understand the similes. Okay, first one. He swims like a fish. So again, you're comparing the way he swims to a fish. Okay, so he swims like a fish. So this is a simile. Next sentence. Dhoni is a great captain because he is as cool as a cucumber. Which means cucumber, it's very cool. It's not cucumber, it's cucumber, right? So cucumber is a very cool vegetable. Okay, so he is as cool as cucumber. So instead of saying that he's just a calm and cool person, you can see he's as cool as cucumber. Next, she cries like a baby. Not that she literally cries like a baby, but for everything she cries. So she cries like a baby. You're comparing the way she cries to a baby. The thief entered my house as quiet as a mouse. You know mouse, right? They run around here and there, but you have seen mouse? They run around, they're very quiet, they're very quick and quiet. So the thief entered my house as quiet as a mouse, like very quietly he entered the house. Next, the decision made by her is as solid as a rock, which means it's very, she's firm and not decision made. She's not fluctuating in a decision, but once you make a decision, she's firm in the decision. That's why it said the decision made by her is as solid as a rock, which means it's very firm. So these are a few examples of simile sentences. Okay, I'll give you the homework as well. Okay, so did you all understand it clearly, children? So today what all did we learn? We learned about the summary of the poem, how to remember it using pictures, and then we also learned about grammar part, which is figures of speech. We also learned about the types, few important types of figures of speech, which are they? A metaphor, simile, personification, and irony. And in depth, we learned about simile with a lot of examples. How do you identify simile? When in the sentence when there is like and as dash as. When you're comparing one person to other, those sentences are called as simile. It's a figurative way of speech. Okay, children. Thank you. Hope you all understood well. Take care. Bye-bye.